An adjunct professor at Montclair State University and the author of Dogs Taught Me Everything I Know About Business, Dan Geltrude. Dan, all right. So this new deal will see the U.S. and China lower their tariffs from 145% and 125% all the way down to 10%. But the U.S. will be keeping its 20% tariff on Beijing, this for its role in the fentanyl crisis. Dan, this tariff slashing will only remain in effect for the next 90 days, but do you think this deal is going to last?
Well, that depends. And the reason I say that is China has traditionally been a bad actor. So are they going to comply? We'll have to see. Yeah. But if they don't, if they violate the terms that they've agreed upon here, then everything rolls back to April 2nd. The tariffs go back in place. So I think that's a good thing to try to keep China in line while they try to hammer out a permanent deal here. But I have to tell you, I really like that these tariffs are being targeted and focused specifically related to fentanyl, because this is a big problem and we have not been able to get China to this point to have any control over that. So hopefully this is going to work. Certainly the markets liked it. So we'll take the win and we'll see what happens over the next 90 days.
Yeah, and that's a good point you bring up. I think when most people think of fentanyl crossing the border, they think, it's strictly coming from South American countries. It's strictly coming from Mexico. But yeah, China is a big player in that game as well. And I think, like you said, somebody needs to keep China in line and make sure that they stick with this deal. And I think President Trump is certainly the man to do that. But while this was good news, futures, they're slightly down ahead of the opening bell as investors eye the latest inflation report. Dan, what do you think we see from this report and just from the markets overall?
Well, again, we see that the markets continue to be headline driven. So really good headlines yesterday about China. Market goes up. Today, it's anticipated that we are not going to get great news related to inflation. We're expecting that it's going to be relatively consistent, meaning that we're not going to see inflation going down. So the market is reacting accordingly. At the same time, I look at it this way. You are seeing good news at the pumps, right? Because fuel costs are down. And of course, eggs. Price of eggs are down. So I view that as a positive, but let's see what the numbers show today.
Yeah, and we're actually reporting on that because, you saw like legacy media, they were reporting egg prices are so high, they're so high. When they finally come down, they're completely silent. But so one industry that saw a massive bump from this deal was actually the toy industry, with Mattel and Hasbro rising by 10% and 6% respectively. And then you've got Funko seeing a colossal 45.4% jump. Dan, obviously goes without saying, the toy market relies heavily on Chinese imports. We actually reported, I believe it was last week or the week before that Mattel was going to have to raise all of their prices due to these tariffs. But now things are looking a little bit better for them. I mean, how big of a relief is this for the toy industry?
Well, it's a big relief, but it's temporary. So if companies and industries are going to continue to rely on foreign supply chains, they're always going to be subject to the geopolitical changes that happen. So the answer here is start manufacturing in the United States, and you have much better control over your supply chains, which adds stability to your business.
Exactly. It's almost like this is buying them a little bit more time to kind of start producing everything here right in the States. But moving on a little bit, so the summer season is quickly approaching, and McDonald's is saying it'll hire close to 400,000 employees, marking one of the fast food chains' actually highest hiring pushes in years. The company made the announcement alongside the labor secretary as the Trump administration is now pushing for more companies to invest, like we just said, right here in the United States. And if everything goes according to plan, McDonald's is also hoping to open 900 new locations by 2027. Dan, you're our resident McDonald's guy here. You love them. We all know that you love them. But what do you think is going on here? How much do you love this move by McDonald's?
Well, this actually caught me by surprise because, unfortunately, McDonald's sales have been slumping. So why they're looking at this so optimistically that they're going to be opening 900 more locations and hiring close to 400,000 employees, I didn't really expect that. So it makes me think, What does McDonald's know that we don't?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're very optimistic about what's going to be happening in the future. I hope they're right.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, I don't want to put words in their mouths, but obviously they have a bit of a trust in what the Trump administration is doing right now. Otherwise, like you said, they would not be expanding in the way that they are in this moment. Dan Geltrude, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Always great having you on.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, everybody.